Ask any woman what kind of man she truly desires, and if she's being honest, she'll describe a high-value man. Not just someone who looks good or makes money, but someone with presence, with depth, with strength that doesn't need to be spoken. Most men try to buy attraction. They chase status. They overcompensate. But women don't fall for what's loud. They fall for what's rare. And nothing is rarer in today's world than a man who is truly stoic, grounded in his values, detached from outcomes, and driven by purpose. Being high value isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent, being unfazed, being sovereign. And in this guide, we'll break down the 7 stoic traits that make women instinctively crave your presence, even when you say nothing at all. Because when you embody these traits, you stop pursuing women and start attracting them. Without games, without pretending, just by being the man most men are too distracted to become. Let's dive in. The first trait of a high-value man is emotional self-control. This is non-negotiable. In a world full of emotionally reactive men, guys who rage text, panic when ignored, or crumble at the first sign of conflict, emotional self-control is a superpower. When she tests you, you stay calm. When she pulls back, you stay centered. When she gets emotional, you don't mirror her chaos. You contain it. This doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're composed. And that composure is what makes a woman feel safe in your presence. It tells her, this man can handle me. This man can handle life. Remember, control over others starts with control over yourself. And emotional mastery isn't something you talk about. It's something she feels when she's around you. It's in your breath, your posture, your unshakable eye contact. Most men think attraction is about being expressive. But the truth? It starts with being contained. Because when you don't lose yourself, she can finally relax into you. That's the foundation. Let's keep building. The second trait of a high-value man is unshakable purpose. Most men drift. They live their lives reacting to women, to circumstances, to emotions. But the man who moves with purpose, he becomes a force, a path, a direction. And women feel that. You don't need to talk about your mission. You live it. Your time, your energy, your attention, they all orbit around something greater than her or anyone else. This is what makes you unpredictable, not in a chaotic way, but in a way that says, you're welcome in my life, but I'm not stopping for you. Purpose protects you from distraction. It shields you from desperation. Because when you're building something real, whether it's a body, a business, or a legacy, you don't need her. You choose her. And that choice, rooted in abundance rather than emptiness, changes everything. The man who lacks purpose becomes needy, reactive, soft. The man with purpose? He becomes magnetic. Not because he's chasing her, but because he's leading himself. So ask yourself, do you move like a man with purpose? Or do you wait for her to define your direction? A high-value man never hands over the wheel. If you're ready to attract without chasing, hit subscribe and ring the bell. The next lesson will change everything. The third trait of a high-value man is unapologetic standards. Most men lower their standards to keep women around. They tolerate flaky behavior. They laugh off disrespect. They accept breadcrumbs just to stay in the game. But the high-value man? He doesn't chase attention. He filters for alignment. He doesn't beg for loyalty. He expects it. And not through demand, but through the energy he brings. His standards aren't spoken. They're felt. When a woman tests your limits, and she will, your response defines your value. Do you fold to keep her happy? Or do you stand tall, knowing that any short-term loss is a long-term win? A high-value man is not afraid to walk away, not out of ego, but out of respect for himself. He doesn't settle for situations that drain him. He doesn't justify inconsistency, and he doesn't reward behavior that violates his boundaries. This isn't about being harsh. It's about being clear. Women are drawn to men whose boundaries are rooted in calm certainty, not in anger, not in control, but in clarity. When you have standards, you stop chasing validation. You stop negotiating your value. And that's when attraction flips. She starts proving herself to you. Because in a world full of men who tolerate anything, you become the one man who doesn't. And that makes you unforgettable. The fourth trait of a high-value man is emotional detachment from outcomes. Most men live in a constant state of mental negotiation. Did she like my message? Should I text again? What if she doesn't reply? This kind of overthinking doesn't just waste energy, it kills attraction. Because what a woman feels in those moments is that your emotions depend on her behavior. A high-value man operates differently. He engages without expectation. He gives without need. He moves without chasing. Why? Because his self-worth isn't tethered to external reactions. He doesn't attach his mood to how someone else responds. This isn't about not caring. It's about not clinging. You can desire connection without dependency. You can want her without needing her. That emotional detachment is felt in every interaction. It's the relaxed smile when plans fall through, the calm tone when she throws a test, the silence that says, "I'm not here to convince you. I'm here because I choose to be." This non-attached presence is what gives you the upper hand, not in a manipulative way, but in a grounded way. She feels it, she respects it, and over time, she starts to crave it. Because in a world full of emotionally erratic men, you become the one man who doesn't flinch. The fifth Stoic trait that makes you a high-value man is discipline over impulse. In today's culture of instant gratification, fast dopamine, fast replies, fast everything, most men are slaves to their urges. They chase pleasure over principle, comfort over growth. But the Stoic man? He delays gratification. He doesn't let his impulses drive his actions. He lets values do that. You want to text her back instantly? You want to skip the gym because it's raining? You want to avoid discomfort because it's easier to scroll? The high-value man notices those impulses and chooses discipline anyway. This self-mastery is rare, and rare is respected. Women sense this, not just in what you say, but in how you live. She sees it in how you train your body, how you speak with intention, how you pause before reacting. This kind of restraint doesn't make you boring. It makes you unshakable. Because if you can resist the need for comfort now, you can build the life and relationship you actually want later. Every time you delay gratification, you send a message to the world. I lead myself. I don't chase dopamine. I chase meaning. And that energy? It doesn't just attract women. It inspires them. The sixth Stoic trait of a high-value man is detached presence. Let's break that down. Presence is your ability to be fully here, rooted in the moment, focused, unshaken. But detachment? That's the ability to be here, without trying to own what's here. Most men are present with an agenda. They're listening, but only to respond. They're connecting, but only to get approval. They're showing up, but only because they want something in return. The high-value man shows up because he chooses to. Not to impress, not to please, but because it aligns with who he is. When you practice detached presence, you listen fully, not to fix her emotions, but to witness them. You speak clearly, not to prove yourself, but because it's what needs to be said. You flirt, not because you need her, but because you're already full, and this moment is just play. This disarms her. She's used to men who cling, men who expect, men who panic at the first sign of distance. But when she sees that you're not trying to possess her, when she feels that you're solid with or without her, she leans in. Not because you chased, but because she felt safe to come closer. That's the paradox. The less you try to keep her, the more she wants to stay. The seventh and final Stoic trait of a high-value man is purpose over pleasure. Most men live on autopilot, chasing comfort, dopamine, and short-term rewards. They scroll endlessly, chase women, escape into distractions, and wonder why nothing feels fulfilling. But a high-value man is different. His life is built around purpose, not perfection. Purpose. He doesn't wake up asking, "What do I feel like doing today?" He wakes up asking, "What needs to be done?" And that shift changes everything. You become more selective with your time, more intentional with your actions, more magnetic in your presence. Because here's the truth. Women don't just want a man. They want a mission. They want to feel like joining your life is joining something greater, something meaningful, something moving forward. When you prioritize purpose over pleasure, you stop seeking. You stop chasing. You lead. And leadership, grounded, purposeful, unwavering, is irresistible. Because now, every word you say, every silence you hold, every decision you make, it all carries weight. And that weight, that gravity, that's what makes you unforgettable. Let's talk about energy leaks. The subtle ways most men give their power away without even knowing it. Energy leaks happen every time you overthink a text, wait anxiously for her reply, or obsess over her opinion of you. You think you're being attentive, but she feels your inner chaos, and it turns her off. Why? Because women are biologically wired to seek stability. She doesn't just hear your words, she scans your nervous system. If your energy is unstable, she doesn't feel safe. Not consciously, but deeply. A Stoic man doesn't leak energy. He doesn't overinvest in uncertainty. He holds his frame. That means when she pulls back, he doesn't chase. When she tests, he doesn't panic. When she's emotional, he stays grounded. This kind of containment, emotional, energetic, psychological, is rare. And rare is magnetic. Most men are leaking energy all day long. You become the one who holds it. You become the eye of the storm. Attraction is not just about what you give her. It's about what you withhold, not out of manipulation, but out of mastery. Because when your energy is contained, when your emotions are centered, you don't need to impress. You are impressive, and she'll feel it, even in your silence. The second Stoic trait of a high-value man is deliberate detachment. Now let's be clear. Detachment isn't disinterest. It's not coldness. It's not apathy. It's presence without possession. It's the ability to be fully engaged with a woman, while not being emotionally enslaved by her reactions, moods, or attention. Most men get this wrong. They think connection means obsession. They get a taste of her affection, and suddenly, their world starts revolving around her. They become hyper-focused, anxious, dependent, and with every moment of overinvestment, they lose power. But a Stoic man doesn't grip. He flows. He's open to connection, but he doesn't cling to it. His purpose comes first. His standards never shift. And if the connection begins to violate his peace or self-respect, he lets go without drama, not because he doesn't care, but because he cares about himself more. This detachment makes you magnetic. Why? Because it flips the script. Instead of chasing her validation, you become the man she's trying to figure out, the man she can't control, the man who could walk away at any time and still be whole. She feels that, and it makes her lean in harder. The third Stoic trait of a high-value man is calm command. Most men try to lead by control, telling her what to do, trying to dominate the conversation, or asserting themselves out of insecurity. But real leadership doesn't demand obedience. It invites trust. And that kind of leadership only happens when you command, not through noise, but through calm, composed presence. A Stoic man leads with energy, not ego. He makes decisions with clarity. He listens without interrupting. He holds space for others without needing to be the loudest voice in the room. And when he speaks, people lean in, because he doesn't waste words. This kind of presence is rare, and women feel it. They feel it in the way you hold your posture, the way you make eye contact, the way you stay grounded in chaos. You become a man they trust without question, not because you say you're in control, but because you are. And here's the paradox. The less you try to prove you're a leader, the more power you radiate. Because she's not looking for a man who leads with fear. She's looking for a man who leads with stillness. Be that man. The fourth Stoic trait of a high-value man is delayed expression, the ability to feel deeply but reveal selectively. In today's world, most men are either emotionally repressed or emotionally explosive. One hides everything. The other overshares, thinking that vulnerability means dumping your feelings without filter. But Stoicism isn't about suppression. It's about timing. A high-value man doesn't spill his emotions to gain connection. He chooses his moments. He's not afraid to express, but he's never rushed to. And that restraint, that pause before you speak, that calm before you open up, it makes what you do say 10x more powerful. Women are emotional detectives. If you flood them with too much too fast, they feel overwhelmed or suspicious. But when you reveal pieces of yourself slowly, with intention, with poise, you create intrigue, you build trust, and you invite her to invest more deeply. Delayed expression is emotional foreplay. You make her work to see deeper into your world. And when she earns it, when you finally let her in, it lands, because it wasn't given cheaply. In a world of oversharers, be the man who speaks when it matters. That's what makes your voice unforgettable. The fifth Stoic trait of a high-value man is purpose over emotion, the ability to act from your mission, not your moods. Most men let their emotions steer the ship. If they feel anxious, they overtext. If they feel lonely, they overgive. If they feel insecure, they try to win her back. And every time they do, they drift further from their power. But a Stoic man doesn't ask, "How do I feel right now?" He asks, "What is aligned with my purpose?" This is what makes you dependable, predictable in the right way. The man who still hits the gym after a breakup, who still shows up calm during a conflict, who doesn't negotiate his standards for a hit of validation. And that is intoxicating to a woman, because women are drawn to men who move with inner authority, who don't make emotional decisions, who can sit with discomfort without trying to escape it, who choose direction over dopamine. This trait doesn't just attract women, it attracts respect from everyone. So while most men are slaves to impulse, you become the man who leads with discipline, who trades comfort for character, who lives for something bigger than attention. And that's unforgettable. The seventh and final Stoic trait of a high-value man is legacy thinking. Most men live for the moment, chasing comfort, attention, or short-term pleasure. But a high-value man? He moves differently. Every action is intentional. Every decision is rooted in something bigger than himself. Legacy isn't about building empires or being famous. It's about living today in a way that your future self respects. It's about having standards, systems, and a mission that doesn't waver with emotion. Women are magnetically drawn to this kind of man. A man who's not just surviving, but building. A man who's not emotionally reactive, but strategically decisive. A man who doesn't waste time, because he values his time. Legacy thinking changes how you speak, how you show up, how you lead. It separates you from the crowd, because most men are still lost in ego, distraction, and validation seeking. But not you. You live on purpose. You lead with character. And that kind of presence, it's unforgettable. If you found value in this, subscribe and hit the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next. This is Marble Masculinity. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay irreplaceable. If you're ready to attract without chasing, hit subscribe and ring the bell. The next lesson will change everything.